Hello and welcome to a special interview for VIT. Today we have with us one of the most special guests for the show, Ritviz. He is one of the one of the finest songwriters, electronic musician, record producer, and also an entrepreneur now. And he is here to talk to us, the students of VIT, about a lot of things. So, starting off, the first question. You've spoken a lot about your background in the sense that your family's involvement with classical music. And to be honest,
Yeah,
when I heard
yeah.
about this, there was a tube light moment for me because I could figure out your music as well because it's a lot of classical mix to it. So could you probably tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
how that upbringing and classical music affected your music?
So I'll just give you a quick background. My mom is an Indian classical singer, and my dad plays the tabla. So, they would have their, like riyaz sessions every Saturday, Sunday, like weekends would be. So I grew up listening to that, right? I grew up to my mom's alap. So, वो इतना subconscious build होने लगा, right, in the back of my head that, yeah, I didn't even like this is not something that I planned to get into, but it was like brewing inside of my head. I didn't even know it. So as I was, every weekend listening to my mom sing, and my dad plays the tabla, that's all that. Obviously, the patterns were all like been creating in my head, and all of that started off. And then I think when I hit my teens and jab like VH1 Top 40 and all, when I was exposed to all of that best के गाने के सुनने लगे, तब then I think at that point when I found the need to express is when I realized कि हाँ, I already have Indian classical music in the back of my, and when I started creating and when I started realizing कि some of the things that I would do, like simple things like touching two notes would be very like classically driven, right? Like from a very higher note to a lower note, if I went like, that's a very classical way of singing, right? So very like little things like that started to like show in my creations. So yeah, I mean, to just give you like a quick understanding, that's what happened. It just became my style without me even really putting effort into it, just because I was listening to my folks from a very young age.
Acha. Pragya?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so how has the lockdown treated you so far, and what are you actually doing to keep yourself, motivated and productive during this time?
I'm actually not trying to be productive because my entire whole of last year was just like filled with touring and releasing music and all of that. So this year I was already like Jan. I remember I did my last couple of shows, and Jan Feb jab COVID scare was just like entering our sphere. That point I was just like, okay, I've hit my saturation, right? And if a pandemic has to happen, this is the best time so I can get to stay home. It's a horrible thing to say, but no, I'm glad that I got to stay at home and not spend the rest of the year touring, because I needed this break. And so I've just been watching a lot of movies and like catching up on 4 years of sleep, right? Believe it or not, the minute I stopped thinking about music and start planning releases and all that, that's when music actually starts coming to me. Right? It's like, okay, ab gana banana hai. Whole of last year where I planned so many things, I only ended up releasing like 3 or 4 songs. But in this pandemic, released like 4 songs. Worked in my favor because I got to spend time with mom and dad, eat home cooked food, and like just build a routine of my own. So yeah, it's been great. Now I feel I'm hitting, like I'm becoming like, now I just want to go back to colleges. I want to like go back to shows, and I want to entertain that life again. So yeah, I just this break was required. I think that this balance is needed, where I take a 6 months off and then I get back to that very hectic lifestyle. So yeah.
Okay, so you and Nuclear recently performed during the lockdown, and it was like a virtual concert. So what's your take on this new format?
I think it was a necessity, to do something like this, because we're just in a position where we can't do live shows for I don't think we're gonna even start, I don't know, mid 2021. I mean, I don't even know when we're gonna get back, but when the government allows gatherings and all of that. But this obviously was looked at as like a necessity, and we had to figure out a way to entertain our fans, and this seemed like the most obvious way to go about it. But then we also thought we got to get a little more creative and not just do a live stream, but then place our live stream in virtual worlds, which is what we tried to do. And it was I hope, like, I don't know if you guys watched it, but it was a good experience for all of us. So yeah, that.
And so does performing without an audience take away that magic and, the energy on the set?
It does for sure. It's like, it's because I remember when I recorded my set for Retro Future, which was the live thing that we did. I had 4 videographers in front of me, and that's it. It was a small room. It was like a studio. So I'm just like, how am I supposed to tell everybody to raise their hands up right now? Like, what am I supposed to say in the middle of my, like, as I'm doing the obvious DJ things, and without the crowd. So it was obviously not as fun, but then I just started to like shut my eyes every now and then to, let my imagination like run wild.
So, so next question is a little bit about social construct and the effect of music, etc. So music is often used as a tool for sending a message or for expressing, right, what society feels. You could be portraying dissent by singing songs like Bella Ciao or Straight Outta Compton. They talk a lot about police brutality. You could also be supporting your country, instilling a sense of nationalism by singing perhaps a national anthem, or like probably Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. These songs instill a sense of nationalism in you, right? So what is your take on freedom of expression when it comes to creating music? Do you think there should be boundaries to it? And what do you think, in an essence, do you think this is something important before we delve a little deeper into the importance of it?
No, 100%, man. I think as we grow as musicians and artists, it also becomes our responsibility to cater to the people that make you, right? So you hold that, you have the voice, you have the power, and then it's important to talk about issues and stuff that you think very, like, if I solely make music to please people, then I don't think I'm doing a job of because that's not how it started. I think my people also found me because I was doing me, and I was doing something that I thoroughly enjoyed and like wanted to do. So if at any point I restrict that, I do not be myself, I'm not going to be true to myself, and people will, it's not about, it's for the people, but I don't necessarily have to please them at any point. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that if I feel strongly about something, it'll either be out in my music, or I would either talk about it online, if I feel passionate about it. And I think it's really important to also do that, because we hold a responsibility. But if we strictly talk about music, I think the messaging in my music is we try to visually like go down that route where we show it in our music videos and everything. But I mean, I don't know if I've been very like conscious in terms of the lyric in my songs, but I think visually we definitely, like, I think the last song also we put out, Rahi, that was on the LGBTQ, we picked up on Pride Day with Tinder. So I think we always like try to find issues, and the messaging is revolved around that. So we try to do that with our visuals.
Question again. So do you think artists in India are not just restricted to musicians, but also the fraternity in general of artists lack a sense of responsibility when it comes to taking actions or standing up for important issues, right? Like, for example, just drawing a parallel with the West, Emma Watson is the face of the he for she movement, right? The gender equality movement by UN women is revolved around her, and her influence has a major factor in terms of the reaching out of that issue. Similarly, DiCaprio with climate change, etc. Do you think that that responsibility or sense of taking a stand for something as important as this lacks in artists in India? And do you think this sponsor is important? Like, for example, if I have a million followers on Twitter or Instagram, I do have a responsibility to be ethical and responsible in front of them, right? Do you think that lacks, or do you think that responsibility is taken seriously by artists in India?
Oh, for sure. I think we lack that majorly. But the sphere that I am like in with like so many musicians that I'm surrounded with, luckily I'm also around with a lot of people that do support a lot of, like in the last 1-2 years of a lot of things that have happened in our country where, I've tried my best and a lot of people with me have tried it. But I know what you mean when it comes to very main scale musicians and actors and all that. I think we definitely lack that. But like, it's very strange, man. I was talking to a friend the other day and I was thinking about how as we grow, right? As we grow and we gain followers and like we gain that perspective, you gain a new perspective on how you think about things also, right? So maybe you would not directly speak about things on social media, but maybe your work will reflect that, right? So I mean, in a way, if you are standing up for an issue, be it through your work or just by your general voice on social media, it's your responsibility to do that. So whether it's your so there's like two ways to go about it, I think. But it's important to talk about issues that are like hurling around right now, and we lack that. Yeah, I agree with you, we do.
Acha, so before we enter another serious topic, we wanted to bring up mental health a little later. But before that, I want to ask, how did that collaboration with AIB happen? How did you meet AIB? How was that entire collaboration? What was the story?
So I was writing my like debut album at the time. I think this was 2017. Yeah, I think it was 2017. I was writing Ved, which has like Sage and the title track with Jeet and like Udd Gaye. All of these songs I was writing at the time. And we were thinking of like figuring out but Udd Gaye was not even the first single, right, that we had planned. Udd Gaye was going to be like the outro of the album and everything. And Rahul, he's my manager. He was figuring out ways to like how are we going to position this and all of that. He was figuring that out. And around the time is when Tanmay and Nuclear, they announced Bacardi House Party sessions, right? So Rahul was just like, let's just send one. So after that, he heard the rest of my music also, and that's when he like really like wanted to push me at the time. And Udd Gaye was selected for BHP, and then they planned a music video and this and that, and then the release happened on AIB. In that period of like whatever 3-4 months, I got to meet like him, Nuclear, and a bunch of then I had met before, but Tanmay I was introduced through Bacardi House Party session. So after that, there's also like a little story. So there's Dhruv, I think, at the OML office that had sent him one of my unreleased tracks. Actually, you know what? This story, let him tell you guys. It's better from his.
He's already given us an interview this year, so I think you should tell us the story, because I don't think we'll have him back before next year now.
No, I think he's also, but like he heard Kahani Wale. This is one unreleased track that he heard, and he went crazy, man. Even till date, he bothers me that he wants to release. When am I going to release it and stuff? And the thing is, he's become such a parent bully sort of person in my life. Where, like he's just like, dude, like, what are you gonna do about this song? When are you gonna release it? I'm like, will you leave me alone? Will you let me like figure this out on my? So yeah, he bothers me a lot with that one song. It's called Kahani Wale, and he discovered it on the time working on Udd Gaye. So yeah, that's how I think Udd Gaye happened, through BHP.
Sure. So Dhruv, when you were interviewing him off camera, told us about coffee for 15 minutes, because he's extremely passionate about coffee apparently. So that was major chunk of our interview with him, although we had a lot of things listed down for him. But anyways, moving on. Pragya.
Correct.
Okay. So, like coronavirus has been impacting people and artists, of course, around the world, and it gets even worse, when it comes to, and like all the renowned artists, they get some extra notice. So, like Drake in his recent Instagram live said that he is actually suffering from depression, and we all know that how positive and lively Drake is. So, how are you keeping yourself informed, and what precautions are you taking? Drake said that he has self isolated himself for like a period of time. So, like, how are you coping up with this?
I have my folks around me. I think that's my biggest, I've had, because it's the two people that have seen me grow. Like, I mean, who else would? But not in the sense that because they're my parents, but just because they've like actually been there and like seen this journey and walked with me through it. So I think they understand me better than anybody else would. So I think just having them around is good for my mental health, because I have actually stayed away and seen um, it deteriorate, and I've felt like the thing is, a lot of times we expect a lot out of ourselves, without realizing what it could affect in the long run. And I don't know if I'm making sense right now, but um, if I had to really like break it down, okay, so my 1 year of touring, right, was away from my folks, away from my friends, and it was just constant like show after show and just meeting new people. And obviously the career, if I make a career, was obviously there's a lot more view in this film with that is my personal wasn't on the same, because my and the more I was exerting on my, like, I'm not okay doing 4 shows, but I'm taking it up because I want to like kill it this year, and I have this, like, I'm expecting a lot out of myself, um and all of that. And then I wasn't realizing that I'm not mentally prepared, because due to this I'm not able to make music. I'm not able to do the one thing that I started this journey with. So I realized that when this pandemic made me also realize, like, I mean, staying at home made me realize a lot that, okay, I'm not going to do a million shows. Next year when I'm back also, I'm going to only do what suits me, what helps me function better. Because if it affects the music, there's no point, right? There's literally no point. Being around my folks made me realize that, because they will never treat me like anybody else. When I'm at home, I'm always going to remain your role as a staple age right now to go to. But yeah, I just feel like everywhere else, I was obviously being treated indifferent also, which is not people's fault because they don't know me, right? So when you're around familiar territory, I think that brings you back home, the essence of it all. So yeah, I think for me, it's the people that you surround yourself with, gives you the energy to remain yourself and not lose your path. Uh, yeah.
Okay, so drifting a little bit away from that, talking about education in general, right? So we know that you dropped out of school just to pursue your music, and you did pretty well, and you did amazingly well, sorry, in your
Yeah.
career. But let's just compare that to another folk, right?
Yeah.
Let's say perhaps I may not be as talented, but like if I drop out in grade 11, grade 12, and because I want to pursue something that's not status quo, or like that is not streamlined with what society wants me to follow, and I get judged with negative thoughts. People look down upon me like, "ये बच्चा science नहीं पढ़ रहा," etc., etc. How do you think somebody should deal with that when they want to do something at K, something different from what everybody in the world is
Yeah.
doing? And
Yeah.
how did you deal with that?
I actually didn't deal with it at all because again, my hero mom walked in the picture and was like, you know what, you do you, and I will not let people get to you. She created like this. She was just being she was being super mom, and I think that's what helped me. Just focus on the music because that's all I was doing, right? I didn't have to care about people. I wasn't exposed to the people, right? if I'm at home, I mean, I'm not getting out of my house anyway, right? And I don't have friends. So it's not like I'm talking to a bunch of people. But my mom was, my dad, they were obviously like getting all of the attentions, like, Aapa beta kya kar raha hai? What's going on? Like, you know, like, what the fuck's going on? And I think the way they handled it was very interesting, you know, because now as I'm growing, I'm like, I would want to be a parent like that, right? Because just not letting your child be exposed at that kind of age is also important for me to just focus on the work, because now I'm understanding the value of it, right? Because now I'm like exposed to the internet, like now I'm like views on a song, so everybody has opinions on my music. And when I see hate on Twitter or like Instagram, like one comment will drive me crazy. So I'm just like, okay, how did I drop out of school with like if I get affected by a stupid comment, right? So I know that just shutting yourself off from the negative side of things is the only way forward, you know. And also when you feel strongly about something, it's important to also reply, you know, because I do this, like if I get mad at somebody on about a disgusting comment, and I'll never press enter, channelizing my thoughts, right? Like it's there, it's on keyboard, but I don't press enter. So yeah, it's important to want to not care, like genuinely not like look at something that is because I'm not looking for love, right? Because there's so much love online, but let's not look at love. I put it in a box, but I'll focus on the hate, like 1-2 comments. I will like get bothered so much. So I'm just like, I go to mom, I'm like, Mama, how did I go through something so major, right? And she's like, you didn't, you know, you actually didn't go through it. I didn't expose you to that. So that's and I was like, yeah, that's true. I didn't actually face any of it. So if you're asking me if there's a budding musician who plans to do something like this, I hope he's best with people around him that will support him or her, because that's really important, man. That's I think my go-to. The real people who actually like bring you to that position are the people who deserve all the credit, you know. I did all the work, yes, but I had the environment to do all the work, and it's so important to have that kind of support. There are people, my friends of mine, who have had who had to rebel in order to, you know, find this person that and, yeah, I feel like how did you guys manage it, right? Does my friend like Udd, for example, nuclear, he had to study for his dad. Like he says this, like, you know, my dad was like, dude, you do whatever you want, but just, you know, get yourself a degree and then you can follow it. And he keeps telling me that this is something he didn't want to do, but he did it for his dad, right? And um, I don't know if I also want to say thankfully I didn't have to go through it, but yeah, I mean, in a way, I'm glad that my folks were like understanding in the sense that they saw me work 16 hours a day. वो देख रहे कि ये लड़का और कुछ नहीं कर रहा है. So like, might as well let him continue doing this, and like with the kind of passion that he's like showcasing, we need to just support that, right? I think that's important, you know. That's important because there's this other thing. I don't know. I have like ideas of how parenting could work if you trust your child from a very young age, right? You have an open communication with your child, and you start that I want to the two people that I truly care about, I want to make anybody my worth, right? Then I'm just purely just making music for music. And that's so important, right? Because a lot of people just spend half their lives trying to do something so their folks will be like so much uh, uh, left to do, like family developments that come into your creative side and all of that, right? I'm not rebelling and making music, right? So I think that put so much confidence in me as like a young child that something crazy and it might just happen. But like also I have my folks telling me if it nahi hota hai to koi baat nahi yaar, it's cool, you know, you tried. Like that sense of thinking is so important because that's what helped me also just reach this in a very healthy format, right? So yeah, I think, yeah, again, like, I mean, I think throughout this interview, I'm just only going to talk about my parents because I feel like everything is directly connected to them and how their involvement has been the only reason why any of this has happened. And even today, like problems today, like I feel like I put so much on them. I'm like, I constantly go to them with problems. I'm like, I no longer should do this, right? I mean, I should be the one taking care of them now. And I feel bad because I feel like they're just my people. Even my best friend, like I've known him since second standard, and I put a lot on them. Like I'm like, guys, इस बंदे ने कितना गंदा comment डाला Instagram पे, मैं क्या लिखूं? And I'm like, these are not my problem. They're like, I should face this on my own. I should learn some things. But yeah, anyway, but like just coming back to your question, parents, man, folks are my heroes. Yeah, they're the reason why. Surround yourself with healthy, happy, uplifting people who will let you do your thing.
Okay. So I had a question, like, how would you describe the music that you typically create, and like, how is the creative process like, and where do you get the motivation to, create music which is so authentic and appealing?
Again, I think like coming back to that first question also, I don't plan any of this. It's very like built in the back of my head, right? Because I know that मुझे कोई कुछ melody आती है, so वो मैं melody सोचता हूँ, and I'm like, okay, how do I put this down? I will just attempt, like how any other musician would attempt at like making music, right? My attempt though, it will be a little different just because of the immense amount of influence of Indian classical and the love for like hip hop and R&B and like whatever else I grew up listening to, right? So together it's like a very like effortless attempt, and that attempt is what you listen to. It's not like I sit and like plan ki haan yahan pe like alap dalte hain, ye dalte hain, yeah, I should pick up elements from here and there. It's just an attempt. And it just happens to be like a good combination of the two worlds, I think. So really, there's no thinking. Honestly, there's no thinking. There's only feeling, right? I'm going through something, I will write a song. If I felt something very deeply, I'll write a song. And post writing the song, there is analysis. Like I'll go like, okay, cool. Maybe I should change things here and there. Now that I've like expressed, I can maybe structure the expression a little bit. But all of that gets covered during the attempt itself. So yeah.
Achha, so I'll ask my last question since we only have about 5-6 minutes left. So I was watching one of your interviews and you were talking about making a studio where you can get young artists and try to make some good music with the young talent in India. So I wanted to figure out where your plan is right now, if we're still planning to make that studio and how that plan is going.
यार मेरा खुद का भी स्टूडियो नहीं बना है अभी तक. Like I'm literally in my bedroom producing because I feel like यहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा vibe आती है. But I know that I intend to. That's a plan that I now see in like a good 1-2 years, I think. Where I'll be like, I'll find a really beautiful place and I'll set up a nice studio and have musicians come in and like work anytime. I mean, it's a dream of mine. So I don't know kitna jaldi aayega wo, but I don't know, man. I can't put a date on it. Could even happen like 2021 next year. But yeah, मुझे घर से निकलना ही नहीं है. I don't want to get out of this house. I feel like my folks are literally asking me to get out. कि तू निकल यहाँ से. And I'm just like, guys, I can't leave you. Okay, I don't want to leave the nest. Okay, I want to stay in the nest. But when I finally like courage up and leave, I think I don't know if it'll be Goa or like maybe Bombay. I don't know. I will set up a nice cozy place for musicians to just come and be themselves. Yeah.
Sure. Then okay. So with this, we come to the end of our interview. Thank you so much, Ritviz, for making time for us today, and I'm really glad we could have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.